So then President Obama set to sign the executive order to transfer up to 100 suspected terrorists out of Gitmo to the small town west of Chicago, state of Illinois. The detainees will be transferred and possibly tried at Thomson Correctional Facility, 150 miles west. Critics are raising some serious security concerns, and among them, all 7 Republican members of the Illinois congressional delegation. One of them's with me now. Don Manzullo represents the district involved, a Republican House member of the Foreign Affairs Committee. And sir, good morning to you. Can you explain to us how this move makes Americans safer?
Well, it doesn't make Americans safer because the ostensible reason for closing Gitmo, according to DOD, is that it serves as a centerpiece for hatred for Al-Qaeda, and they use that as a recruiting tool. And my question from the beginning to DOD, which has never been fully answered, is if this is a recruiting tool for Al-Qaeda and Gitmo Bay is being moved to Thomson, Illinois, it's not being closed, it's being moved to Thomson, Illinois, along with the Al-Qaeda and Taliban terrorists and all the personnel, then are we going to have a transfer of that threat from Gitmo coming to Thomson, Illinois? That was the same concern that Governor Sebelius had when she wrote a very sharp letter to President Obama earlier this year objecting to removing the terrorists from Gitmo to Leavenworth. She said they would never break out. However, they will serve as a magnet, and the area around Leavenworth simply will not be safe, and therefore
and
we
the
don't
former
want them.
governor won her argument. Now, I don't know if you're going to win yours
she
ultimately.
Won her argument.
You mentioned the DOD,
senators.
Department of Defense, says Al-Qaeda's been using Gitmo as a recruiting tool.
Right.
That's the same message from the White House. Will Al-Qaeda recruit less of the detainees in your home state?
Well, we don't know what will happen. I mean, that's the problem. It's up to the government to prove that these people will not be a threat. And so far, everything is suppressed. In fact, what's really starting is buried deep within inside that 1,300-page omnibus appropriations bill are 6 pages that state that the President of the United States has the authority to move Gitmo to anywhere in the United States, and he has to inform Congress about why Gitmo is being closed, the cost of it, security threat of the detainees, security threat to American homeland. But that report is classified, so the American people will never know the extent of the threat. They'll never know the extent of the cost.
But your point is that the threat then shifts to your hometown, Thomson, Illinois. I mean, that's your argument, right?
The threat will shift to Thomson, Illinois. That's been an underused state facility for years. We obviously want to get the thing open, either as a standalone state facility or standalone federal facility, so that we have all those jobs. But when you see articles such as one that appeared in Washington Post on November 29th involving 2 Yemeni brothers, one of whom is at Gitmo Bay, the other one is in Yemen. The brother in Yemen said, look, we thought that President Obama was going to close Gitmo and release the detainees. If he's simply going to transfer those people to the United States, then the hatred of the people towards the United States will increase, including increased acts of violence. I mean, this is the threshold question which the Department of Defense, the administration, absolutely refused to address.
So what are you hearing?
Question.
Yeah, I understand your concern. What are you hearing from constituents? I mean, the way you lay it out, I mean, do they agree with you?
Well, most of them have not been privy to that type of information.
But if they know detainees are coming to their town, certainly there must be a reaction. What is it?
Yes, they've been told that the detainees that are coming, let's call them, they're terrorists. They're Al-Qaeda and Taliban terrorists. They have been told that they're no different than the terrorists that are already incarcerated in this country. And that's not true. Because at Marion Federal Penitentiary in Marion, Illinois, Terre Haute, Indiana, and Supermax in Florence, Colorado, you have about 120 terrorists that are being detained. However, only about 10 to 15 of them have international ties, and they're all separated from each other.
But to give those facilities credit, they've had no incidents and everything's been just fine. And it may, in the end, this may work out in your home district. However, do you buy this argument that this is good for your economy, that it creates jobs? In your view, is that justification?
Well, you don't weigh security against employment. I mean, that's improper to do that. Not that you're saying that, but that should not be on the scales. If even half of the White House's economic forecast for what will happen in the Thomson area, should that become the new Gitmo, if even half of that is true, there's enough revenues sales tax and income tax for the state of Illinois to open that up as a standalone prison. Illinois is at 175% of capacity. The Governor Quinn has released 1,850 felons because there's no room in the state of Illinois.
Well, but that maximum security prison's empty, right? It was built in 2001. If it's sitting empty today, why in the world was it built in the first place? It's not being used.
It was built actually to replace the facility in Pontiac, Illinois, which is 100 years old. But there's actually room to keep open all the prisons instead of having early release for these terrible felons that are now on the street endangering the lives of the people of the state of Illinois. Those people should be at that new prison. I mean, the governor has to make a decision to open the prison in the state of Illinois or to lease it to the federal government as a standalone. That will bring the economic activity, but it's really not fair to tell the people of Thomson that you'll have this economic activity only if you essentially become a magnet for terrorists.
I understand your point. Sir, thank you for coming in today. Don Manzullo represents the home district back there in Illinois. Good to have you, sir. 19 minutes.